Some of you feel it already, that the trials in your life were never accidents, they were doors. Every loss, every challenge, every night you thought would break you was not punishment. It was preparation. The Shaolin path teaches that life tests those who carry hidden strength. A sword is not forged without fire, and neither are you. The struggles you endured, the weight you carried in silence, were silent initiations, signs that you were chosen for something greater. In this teaching, I will share with you the hidden trials that shaped the awakened ones. We will walk through Shaolin principles often kept behind temple walls, how pain refines the spirit, why discipline is the highest form of freedom, and why silence is the first gate to true wisdom. These lessons are not the common phrases of self-help. They are the deep roots of an ancient path, the kind spoken of in whispers, tested through centuries. Stay with me until the end, because the final responsibility of those who pass these trials is something very few speak about. It is the moment where personal mastery transforms into service for others. This is where the journey of the chosen truly begins. If you are here, it means you are ready to hear these words. It means you have endured what others could not. Welcome to Sacred Mind Academy. I am Shi Heng YI, and together we will uncover the truths hidden in your path. Join us by subscribing so that every lesson, every breath of wisdom becomes part of your own awakening. The trials you passed were only the beginning. Now it is time to tell you everything. There is a sound that is louder than any drum, sharper than any blade. It is the sound of your own restless mind. When I first entered the temple, I thought silence meant the absence of words. But soon I discovered true silence is far deeper. It is the absence of noise within. The Shaolin path begins here. Not with strength, not with combat, but with listening. Hours would pass in stillness, the body unmoving, while the mind fought against itself. Thoughts raced like wild horses, pulling in every direction. At first, this struggle feels unbearable. You begin to realize how little control you have over your own mind. That is the first gate. Mindfulness is not about forcing stillness, it is about watching without judgment. A thought appears, you see it. A feeling rises, you feel it, and yet you do not chase it, nor do you push it away. This is the art of noticing. In time you discover a truth chaos cannot survive, when you stop feeding it with attention. One evening my master said to me, "Do not seek silence outside. Sit and let silence reveal itself within." That night for the first time I heard it, the space between thoughts, the quiet rhythm of my own breath. In that space the world changes. The wind through the bamboo no longer disturbs you. The distant call of a bird no longer pulls you. Everything simply is. This is why silence is the first gate. Because only in silence can you see what is real. Only in silence does the truth rise from beneath the noise. And once you pass this gate, every step on the path becomes clearer. At dawn, when the bell echoes through the temple, the monks rise without hesitation. The air is cold, the body is heavy, yet the steps toward training are steady. To the outside world, this may look like a life bound in chains. Every hour marked, every action repeated. But within these rhythms lies something most people never discover: the taste of true freedom. Discipline is often misunderstood. Many think it is about denying joy, suppressing desire, or following rules without question. In truth, discipline is not a prison, it is a doorway. The Shaolin masters know that the one who cannot command himself will forever be a servant to impulse. Hunger will dictate his choices. Anger will steer his words. Fear will shape his destiny. This is slavery of the mind. Through discipline the body learns to endure, the mind learns to focus, and the heart learns patience. Rising before the sun is not about the hour, but about training the spirit to act without waiting for comfort. Endless repetition of movements is not about perfection of form, but the forging of unshakable presence. Meditation is not about escaping the world, but mastering the restless tides within. An ancient saying tells us, "The one who conquers himself is greater than the one who conquers 1,000 enemies." This is the essence of discipline: to rise when the body wishes to sleep, to breathe calmly when the mind wishes to rage, to continue walking when the path feels endless. In the end, discipline does not take freedom away, it gives it back. It frees you from weakness, from hesitation, from the chains of desire. What begins as duty becomes devotion. and what once felt heavy becomes light, as the self bows to its own higher nature. The warrior's path is often misunderstood. To many it seems like a life built on conflict, on sharpening the blade and preparing for battle. Yet within the Shaolin tradition, the true purpose of training is not destruction, it is harmony. The warrior who has mastered himself no longer seeks to prove his strength. He carries power, but his hands remain open. In the early days of training, strength is intoxicating. Muscles harden, reflexes sharpen, the body learns to strike with precision. Pride begins to whisper, "You are strong, you can defeat." But the masters remind their students that a clenched fist is weak if the heart is still ruled by anger. Real mastery is when strength bends itself toward peace. There is an old teaching: to subdue the enemy without fighting is the highest skill. This does not mean avoiding conflict through fear, but transcending the need for it. When a warrior enters a room, his presence alone calms the storm. His discipline, his control, his compassion radiate stronger than any weapon. He does not need to strike, for he has already conquered the greatest opponent, his own ego. Power without compassion is dangerous, like fire without a hearth, but power guided by wisdom becomes sacred. It protects without seeking domination, it defends without hatred, and it acts without leaving scars. This is why the chosen ones are trained not only in the art of combat, but in the art of restraint. The true warrior does not chase war. He does not use strength to elevate himself above others. Instead, he carries it as a responsibility, a quiet vow to protect life, to preserve harmony, and to walk gently despite the weight of his own power. In this way, strength becomes peace, and war dissolves before it begins. There are battles fought with fists, and there are battles fought with swords. But the greatest battle is the one no one else can see, the battle within the mind. Outside enemies may fall with a single strike, but the restless thoughts, the waves of fear, the sparks of anger, they return again and again as if endless. In the Shaolin teachings, a student once asked, "Master, who is the strongest enemy?" The master replied, "The one who lives inside your own chest." It is easy to see danger in the eyes of another, but far harder to see it in the corners of your own mind. The anger that flares without warning, the desire that pulls you off the path, the fear that whispers you are not enough, these are shadows that walk with you. Mindfulness is the weapon that does not wound. To sit in meditation is to turn and face these shadows directly. At first they appear overwhelming. Thoughts rise like armies, one after another, but when you do not fight them, when you simply observe, they lose their strength. Anger is seen for what it is, a passing flame. Fear is seen as a cloud that drifts. Desire too fades when it is not fed. The battlefield of the mind is not won through violence. It is won through clarity, patience, and the steady rhythm of the breath. Each inhale anchors you. Each exhale releases the grip of illusion. Slowly the endless storm begins to calm. And when the mind is still, victory is not loud. It is quiet, like a lake reflecting the moon. In that stillness, you realize mastery over the self is the greatest triumph any warrior can achieve. In the temple courtyard, the monks train with intensity, stances rooted, strikes precise, movements sharp as lightning. Yet when the practice ends, the same hands that struck with force pour tea with gentleness. The same body that leapt and kicked sits quietly in meditation. This is the way of balance, the weaving of yin and yang within the same life. Shaolin practice is never only strength, nor only softness. Too much force, and the body breaks. Too much stillness, and the spirit becomes dull. It is the meeting of opposites that creates true resilience. The inhale expands, the exhale releases, the sun rises, the moon descends. Action and rest, fire and water, both are needed, and both live inside us. The masters teach that yin and yang are not enemies. They are partners in an eternal dance. Strength without softness becomes brittle. Softness without strength becomes weak. But when both are cultivated, the warrior becomes unshakable. He can yield without collapsing, and he can strike without hatred. In daily practice, this balance is trained through breath, movement, and awareness. The breath teaches expansion and release. The forms of combat teach precision and flow. Meditation teaches stillness within motion. In all of these, the lesson is the same. Harmony is the root of mastery. Life itself mirrors this rhythm. There are days of action when the world demands movement, and days of quiet when the spirit asks for rest. To resist this natural flow is to suffer. To embrace it is to walk in alignment with the universe. The secret of resilience is not to choose one side, but to embody both. The balance of yin and yang does not make you less human, it makes you whole. In the Shaolin halls, pain is a familiar companion. The body aches from hours of training, muscles tremble, bones strike against wood and stone. To an outsider, it may appear harsh, even cruel, but within the temple walls, pain is not treated as an enemy, it is honored as a teacher. When pain first arrives, the instinct is to resist. The mind says, stop, protect yourself. Yet the masters teach that beyond this threshold lies a hidden gate. Pain is the fire that tempers steel, the pressure that shapes stone. Without it, strength remains soft, discipline remains shallow, and the spirit remains asleep. Each bruise, each burning breath during training, whispers a message. This is the edge of your growth. Step into it and you expand. Retreat from it, and you remain as you are. Through endurance something remarkable happens. The body becomes stronger, but more importantly, the mind becomes unshakable. There is an old saying, the lotus blooms only through the mud. Pain is that mud, thick and uncomfortable, yet it nourishes the flower of resilience. By staying present with discomfort, you discover it does not last forever. What once felt unbearable becomes familiar, then lighter, until one day it no longer binds you. The chosen ones do not seek pain for its own sake, they accept it as part of transformation. Just as a seed must break before it grows, the self must be tested to awaken its deeper strength. In this way, pain becomes not a curse, but a guide. Enduring it does not make you harder, it makes you wiser, and with each trial, you learn to trust that every sting, every struggle, is carving the shape of the person you are meant to become. A monk's room in the temple is simple, bare walls, a wooden bed, a bowl, a robe. To the eyes of the world, it may seem like poverty, yet the masters smile, for they know that true wealth is not measured by what you hold, but by what no longer holds you. Non-attachment is often misunderstood. It is not rejection of life, nor hatred of the world's beauty. The Shaolin path does not forbid joy, nor does it deny the sweetness of existence. Instead, it teaches freedom from clinging, to enjoy without grasping, to love without chains, to live without fear of loss. That is the essence of wealth. In training, this lesson appears again and again. The body clings to comfort, the mind clings to pride, the heart clings to desires. Each attachment becomes a weight, slowing the spirit. But when you let go, when you release the need to control or possess, you become light. Movements flow freely, thoughts grow clear, and the heart opens without fear. There is an old story of a monk who carried water in a clay jar. One day, the jar slipped and shattered on the stone. The students mourned the loss, but the monk only bowed. He said, "The jar was never mine. Its gift was to serve, and now it returns to dust." In his calm acceptance, the students saw the true meaning of non-attachment. Mastery, then, is not found in accumulation. It is not about gathering more titles, possessions, or victories. It is the art of releasing, of returning to simplicity, of walking unburdened. When nothing owns you, every moment becomes enough, and in that freedom, you discover the greatest treasure, the wealth of a spirit untied, vast and unshakable as the sky. In every moment of life, there is a rhythm often unnoticed, the quiet rise and fall of the breath. It is so constant, so ordinary, that most never see its power. Yet within the Shaolin teachings, breath is the bridge that unites body, mind, and spirit. Without it, the body cannot move, the mind cannot focus, and the spirit cannot awaken. When training begins, students are taught not only to strike or to stand, but to breathe. A movement without breath is empty, but when the inhale draws strength, and the exhale guides release, every action gains life. The body becomes lighter, the mind sharper, the spirit calmer. Breath becomes the unseen master behind every step and every strike. In meditation, the breath is the anchor. Thoughts drift like clouds, but the gentle return to the inhale and exhale brings clarity. With each cycle, awareness deepens. The storm of the mind softens. The breath teaches patience. It cannot be rushed. It teaches presence. It cannot be lived in the past or the future, only here, only now. The ancients spoke of breath as the carrier of life force, the river of energy flowing through all living beings. To control this river is to command both stillness and power. A single deep breath can steady the trembling of fear. A steady rhythm of breathing can carry a weary body beyond its limits. Every moment of awareness begins with this simple act, one conscious breath. It is a reminder that mastery does not always require great deeds. Sometimes it requires only the courage to pause, to return to the breath, and to remember that in breathing you are already whole, already connected to the essence of life itself. There comes a moment on the path when the trials no longer feel like punishment. You begin to see them for what they truly were, preparations. The struggles that once seemed meant to break you were in fact shaping you, refining you, carving strength and clarity into your being. And when you emerge from these tests, something changes. The journey is no longer only about yourself. In the Shaolin way, strength is never hoarded, wisdom is never kept in silence. Those who endure and awaken are given a greater task, the task of service. To carry the light of understanding is not to bask in it alone, but to extend it into the darkness, where others still stumble. The chosen are not chosen for comfort, they are chosen for responsibility. The masters say, the lamp does not burn for itself. In the same way, the one who has walked through fire and remained standing now becomes a guide. This does not mean preaching, nor forcing others to change. It means living as an example, calm in chaos, compassionate in conflict, steady in uncertainty. By embodying what has been learned, others begin to see another way is possible. The responsibility of the chosen is heavy, yet it is also sacred. It asks for humility, for patience, and for the courage to keep walking even when no one follows at first. To serve is not to lose yourself, but to expand yourself beyond the limits of me and mine. In the end, the greatest honor of passing life's hidden tests is not personal victory, but the ability to stand as a light in the storm, guiding quietly, serving endlessly, reminding others that they too carry the same strength waiting to be awakened. The path of the chosen is not marked by titles, possessions, or victories. It is marked by the quiet strength to endure, the discipline to rise, and the compassion to serve. Silence, balance, resilience, and wisdom. These are not distant ideals, but living practices you can weave into each day. When challenges arise, see them not as punishments, but as teachers. When the mind grows restless, return to the breath. When anger or pride stirs, remember that true power is gentle and guided by compassion. Each small act of awareness is a step on the same path walked by generations of seekers before you. You have passed your trials, not because life became easy, but because you continued forward when it was hard. Now the invitation is simple. Live as a guardian of peace. Carry wisdom in your words, patience in your actions, and harmony in your presence. May these teachings guide you toward a life of clarity and freedom. If this message has touched your spirit, we invite you to like this video and subscribe to Sacred Mind Academy, where together we walk the path of self-mastery and inner awakening.